Here we are. Now we're going to do this breakout session specifically geared toward contribution margin ratio and then looking at the income from operation, okay? So I'm going to switch applications to make this a little bit better to work through, okay? All right, so here we are, same example. So if you're following along, this is example number 4, okay? All right, so let's look at or tackle Young's company first. Okay, so I'm gonna just make some space between this. Okay. All right, so Young company budget sales of 112,900,000. Their fixed cost is 25 million and their variable cost is 66,611,000. It's asking us what is the contribution margin ratio for Young's company. All right, so to tackle this, let's first start off with probably what we know, or kind of what we know. So what I can first do is I know that the contribution margin ratio, the formula for that, equals my contribution margin divided by my sales, right? All right, so now looking through this, my contribution margin as they provided it, actually they didn't provide it. So now what I have to do is, first off, I need to come up with my contribution margin and then I can plug it into my formula. All right, so let's do that. So we know to find out our contribution margin, we need to do sales less my variable cost, right? And that will be contribution margin. So here our sales again is 112,900,000. And then my variable cost here, right, is a $66,611,000, right? So once I do this calculation, all right, so our answer comes up to 46289, 1, 2, 3, all right? So hopefully you came up with the same 46,289,000. So now that we have our contribution margin, we can plug it into our formula. So the way we're going to do that is, again, we're going to do the 46,289,000 divided by our sales amount, which is 112,900,000. And once we do this calculation, right, 1, 2, 9, our amount comes out to 41%. Okay, and so that's how we come up with our contribution margin ratio. All right, now this next one is a little bit tricky, but I think you guys can totally do it. So let's look into it. Okay, so I'm gonna just scoot this up. Okay, all right, so here we are. It says if the contribution margin ratio for Martinez company is 40%, sales is 34,800,000, and then our fixed cost is 1.5 million. What is our income from operation? All right, so this one is kind of cool because they're kind of asking you to work backwards in all sorts of ways, but we can do this. I'm confident in you guys. So what I like to always do is start with what you know. So what you know is you know a formula, so let's do it. So we can do sales less my variable cost is going to equal my contribution margin less my fixed cost equals my net income or my income from operations. All right. And then we also know that to come up for our contribution margin ratio, that formula equals contribution margin divided by sales. Okay. So we're trying to get at this number, right? And so we have a lot of noise in this question. And so let's see if we can do just that. All right. So here it tells us that our contribution margin ratio is 40%. So right now I'm just going to put 40% equals contribution margin divided by sales. Okay. All right. So then it tells me my sales is 34,800,000. Okay. So I can go here, 34,800,000. It tells me my fixed cost is 1,500,000. Okay. And then we have a whole bunch of gaps. That's what I know for sure. All right. But what we know right here is that we can continue with this stuff down here, right? So what I'm going to do is just make this a little bit smaller. Okay. So let's see if I can, plug some stuff in. So we have 40% again. And then our contribution margin ratio, contribution margin, we don't know, but we do know sales, which is 34,800,000. Okay. Now, if I did a quick multiplication, I bet I can find out my contribution margin, right? So basically what we would do in this example is that we would multiply each side times the 34,800,000. That would eliminate it on this side, and then we will multiply the 40% times the 34,800,000, and that will give me my contribution margin. So what does our contribution margin come out to? Let's do the math. So 40% times our 34,800,000. And our contribution margin comes out to 1,392,000. 13 million? Sorry. So it comes out to 1,392,123,4. All right. So this is what we are at right now when we're talking about the contribution margin, right? So I'm going to check my answer. 34. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so that's what we have. So our contribution margin is 13,920,000. All right, so now we have that. Now what we can do, I know this is gonna look completely weird and odd, but what I'm saying is now we can go and put that here, right? And that would allow us to continue with our problem so we can figure out our income from operations, right? So if we plug in that number here, our contribution margin, which is the 13,920,000, right? From there, we can subtract out our, we can do the rest of the part, right? So from here, we can subtract out our fixed cost, which is the 1.5 million. And that comes out to $12,420,000. Okay, that is our answer. Now from here, maybe you wanna, oh, I don't know what the variable cost is. Well, you don't need to know it because again, our goal was to figure out our income from operation. However, if you wanted to figure out this missing part, well, you could just work backwards to figure this out, right? So again, you could just do some kind of math to say, okay, if sales less variable costs equals contribution margin, if I know this one and I know this one, I can work backwards to figure out this one. But again, the question is only asking for the income, okay? So hopefully that made sense to you. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we're now going